How should Christians use social media? I think social media is kind of like a chainsaw that if you use it the right way for the right things, it can do a lot of good. But if you use it the wrong way, it can do a lot of damage, both to you and to the people around you. So we need to ask some really serious questions. We need to consider some things before we use social media so that we can make sure that we honor the Lord in how we use it. So, first of all, when we're considering what social media platforms to use, we need to ask ourselves, is using this going to help me draw closer to God? Is it going to help me and others know God more and love God more? Or is it going to present too many opportunities and too many temptations to draw me away from the Lord, to actually make me stumble? There are a lot of social media platforms that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole because the opportunities for sin are just too prevalent with them. There's so many social media platforms that offer us opportunities to look at things we don't need to look at, to have conversations we don't need to have, and to keep them private to ourselves so that no one else can see what's being said, no one else will know what we're looking at. That is just not a healthy way to function. So there are certain social media platforms I just wouldn't touch. There's other platforms that, depending on the person, some people might be okay with it. Some people might not. So I'll give you an example. I think Twitter is a social media platform that can be really helpful in some ways. It can be really informative. But I know some people who just need to not be on Twitter because some of the ways that people interact on Twitter, it really harms them mentally and emotionally. And they look at some of the discussions that go on Twitter, some of the disagreements and some of the fighting between people, and it really depresses them, and it makes them really run further away from the Lord. So Twitter, while it might be a helpful thing for some people, other people need to look at that and say, you know what, it's not the best thing for my life. It's just tearing me down. Now, whenever we have chosen a social media platform to use, whether you're using Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever it might be, there's some things we need to consider before we post on those things. First of all, a very similar question is, does this glorify God? Before you hit the post button, ask yourself, is what I'm sending out to the world or sending to a particular person, is this going to help them know how glorious He is? Is this going to draw them closer to Him? Is it beneficial for the glory of His name that I'm about to post this? And a similar question is that you should ask, is this going to build someone else up? So much of what happens on social media is tearing people down. It's discouraging people. It's attacking people. We need to ask ourselves, is this building other people up? Is it drawing people closer to Jesus? Ask yourself, what is my motivation for posting this? Am I trying to make myself look better? Am I trying to win an argument for myself? Am I trying to puff myself up? Am I trying to make people think that my life is better than it really is? So many wrong motivations go into our posting on social media, and we need to question that with everything that we post. And finally, a question is, would Jesus post this? That might sound really Sunday schooly and really simple, but seriously, if you think Jesus probably wouldn't post this thing you're about to post, you probably shouldn't post it. Our goal is to become more like Jesus. And so let's not behave on social media in a way that Jesus would not behave. And finally, one more thing, especially whenever we're commenting or responding to someone on social media, or whenever we're saying something about someone else, we should ask the question, would I say this to someone's face? It's really easy for us to hide behind a keyboard or hide behind our phone screen and say things about people that we would never say to them in person. But we have to remember that on the other side of that screen, there's a real person reading the things that we send out into the internet. So think about whether you would say something to someone's face. And then whenever we're looking at social media, when we're reading or we're looking at videos or pictures on social media, we need to ask some questions. First of all, again, would Jesus look at this? Would Jesus read this? There's so much content on social media that you should just flee from, should run away from. Just like Joseph in the Old Testament, when he's tempted by Potiphar's wife, he takes off and he runs in the other direction. The Bible tells us to flee temptation, to kill the opportunities that we have to disobey the Lord. So If you are looking at something on social media and it is not honoring to the Lord, it's not something Jesus would look at, cut it off, turn the phone off, run away, get away from it. Don't give yourself the opportunity to fall to that temptation. And then also consider most of the things you see on social media just aren't real life. People post on social media the things that they want other people to see about their lives. You know, in your own heart there's all sorts of stuff going on. You might have family issues going on. You might have emotional struggles that are going on. You might have all sorts of negative things going on in your life. And whenever you look on social media, you see the best of other people's lives. You see their vacations. You see their smiling babies. You see their happy selfies. You see all the best parts of everyone else's life, and you know all of the worst parts of your own life. And sometimes when we make that comparison, it can make us discontent. It can make us angry with God. It can make us bitter towards the world. So just recognize a lot of the time the things that you see on social media, you're not seeing other people's hurt. You're not seeing the things that other people are going through. So we need to keep that in mind whenever we're looking at what other people are posting. Y'all, again, social media can be really helpful. It can help us stay connected with friends. It can help us share things that really honor the Lord. It can help us push forward the gospel in a lot of ways. But we have to be so careful with it because it also has the potential to draw us away from God. And we need to flee from the temptations that it does present.